Hello everybody and welcome to my tutorial where we're going to be talking about the basic Linux commands. So right here I have an Ubuntu virtual machine and we're going to be navigating firstly through the file system. So for example, right now we're currently in our home directory, in our home user directory, and we can see that by this tilde here. So we know that we're in our home directory. Now if I do the command pwd, and that stands for present working directory, and if I click enter, if I execute this command, we're gonna get the present working directory, or the directory that we're currently in. And as you can see, we're currently in the home directory, so this is the root of the file system. Then we're in our home directory, and then we're in our user1 directory. That's the user that I've created here, and that's exactly where we are. Now, since we know where we are, let's try to list all of the files in this directory. In order to list all of the files, we can use the ls command. So ls means list, and we're going to be listing out all of the files and folders in here. But as you can see, we didn't get anything back, and that's because this directory is currently empty. So let's try to create something. Let's try to create a folder. I'm going to create a folder, and in order to create a folder, or to create a directory, we can use the mkdir command, or short for make directory. So the command is going to be mkdir, then we put a space, and then we can specify a name of our directory. So let's say I'm going to have a directory. Let's call it a folder 1. Let's call it folder 1, and click enter. So now when I run the ls command, I'm going to get the folder 1 back, or I'm going to get it listed out as folder 1. Now, let's say we create another folder. Let's create another folder. Make dir folder 2. If I do ls, I'm going to get 2 folders right now, and that's exactly what I have right now in my home directory. Now, the ls command has other options, so it can list out in different ways. If, for example, this seemed like an empty directory in the beginning, but it actually wasn't. It actually contained hidden files with the names that start with the dot. So if the file name or directory name starts with a dot, that file is hidden. And in order to list out those files, we have to do ls, and then we have to do a dash, and we need to say a. A stands for all, so we want to list all files. And if I click enter, you can see that we get quite a bunch more files, a lot more than we got before. So we got these hidden files like the bash history, the bash logout, the bash rc, some config directories, cache, profile, and we are also, of course, getting the folder 1 and folder 2. So that's another type of listing. That's a listing for all files and directories, even the hidden ones, if we do the -a option here. Another option is L. So that's going to give us a detailed listing. If I do that right now, if I do ls-a, and if I add L here, this is going to give us a quite detailed listing here. So as you can see, it gives us first the permissions. These are the permissions here of each file. Then we have the who is the user here. So this is for the first 3 permissions, but I'm going to have a specific video on the permissions, so we're not really going to take a look at that. So I'm not going to be showing that in this video, but I just want to tell you these are the permissions here. But I'm going to be having another video specifically for the permissions. Then we can see the last modified date here. This here is the size in bytes. So each the directory is going to have a fixed size here, but the files will have their actual size here in bytes. This is the last modified date, and this is obviously the name here. Now, that's the listing of the directories. Now let's clear the console. So in order to clear the console, we can do the command clear. It's very convenient and very nicely named clear. So if I execute the clear command, it's going to clear the screen. So now let's see what we have again. If I do ls, we have 2 folders, folder 1, folder 2. In order to get in one of these folders, we can use the command cd, or change directory. So how do we use the command cd? We type cd, we do a space, and we just specify the name of the folder. Now keep in mind that you don't really have to actually type out the whole name of the folder. You can use tab to autocomplete, and as you can see, it's going to complete until the end, and then it's going to wait for us to choose between which. And if I click tab a couple of more times, it's going to show me the options that I have. And as you can see here, I have two options. I have folder 1, folder 2. So let's try to get into folder 1. And this is how we're going to get into folder 1. So cd folder 1 and click enter. And as you can see right now here, the path changed. So we're no longer in the home directory, but we are right now in the folder 1. And now we can run again the pwd command. So if I run the pwd command again, you can see the present working directory currently is folder 1. Now let's try to create a text file in here. In order to create a file, we can use the touch command. The touch command will create a file. And let's create a text file, text file.txt. So when I run this command, this is going to create a text file.txt. I'm going to click enter, and I'm going to clear the screen just so we have a little more space, and I'm going to do ls. And as you can see, we're having a text file here, .txt. Now, in order to see what's inside this file, we can use the cat command or the concatenate command, but in this case, we're not going to be using it to concatenate anything. We're just going to list out what's in the text file. So if I do cat, and if I do the text, if I run it on the text file, as you can see, nothing really came out because actually the text file was empty. So let's try to fill it out. Let's try to put something in the text file. And how shall we do that? How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use a text editor. Now you could use, usually there's a couple of text editors pre-installed on almost every Linux distribution. One of them is going to be Vim, but Vim is a little more advanced. So it does require a little more advanced using. And the other one is going to be Nano. Nano is a little more simple to use, a little more intuitive to use. And currently we're going to be using Nano to open this file and to try to enter a couple of lines of text. So let's do Nano and let's do text file. I'm going to click enter. So I'm going to do Nano space and I'm going to specify the name of the file. And this is going to show us this user interface here. So this is going to be the Nano text editor. Nano is actually a text editor. It's a command line text editor where we can edit text files. And let's try to add like a line. This is the first line in the text file. Let's say this is the second line. Let's say something like this. Now, in order to save in Nano, we can click first of all C, Control and O to write out to the file. So Control and O, that's going to write out. And as you can see down here, is going to ask us file name to write, text file.txt. And you can just click enter and it's going to write it out. And now in order to exit, you can use Control and X. You have the commands down here. So Control and X to exit. And right now we exited the file. And now if we try the cat command again, so if I try cat text file, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to get printed out the two lines that were in the file. So cat does that. Cat does actually print out the content of the text file. Now we can obviously edit the file again. We can open it, we can add another line. So let me add another line. This is the third line. We can write it out, save it out with Control O and exit with Control X. And now if we cat the file again, we're going to see that we have the third line there inside. So that's how we see what's quickly in a textual file. We can use the cat command. Now let's talk about removing files or deleting files. We can use the rm command, or short for remove. Let's say we want to remove this textual file, this text file. So in order to remove it, let's first do ls. So I'm going to do ls, there's our file. Let's try to remove it. We can remove it with rm and space, and we can add the name of the file. So in this case, I'm just going to remove this file. I'm just going to say enter. It's removed, it's gone, that's it. If I do ls right now, you can see that it's actually empty. We don't have the file anymore there. So we've removed the file. Now, let's try something else. So the navigating through the folders, yeah. So in order to get back to our home folder, we can use the cd command. So we're going to use the cd command again. Then we add a space and we can add 2 dots. So 2 dots represents the directory, the parent directory of the current directory. So this represents the parent directory of the current directory. 1 dot represents our current directory, our working directory. 2 dots represent the parent working directory. And we can actually see that if we do ls-al, we can actually see those 2 directories right here. This is our current directory, and this here is our parent directory, and they're listed out as actual directories. Now let me clear the screen here, and let's get back to our home directory. So now we're in our home directory. This is where we should have our both folders. Now let's say we want to create folder structure of multiple folders. For example, not just one, because with makedir we created just one folder, but let's say I want to create a folder structure with 3 folders. Folder in a folder in a folder. In order to do that, we can use the mkdir command, and then we just need to add an option -p. And now we can say, let's say folder, let's say test folder. Then inside, let's have folder inside. Let's say folder inside first one, folder inside first one, folder inside first, folder inside second. So I'm just gonna folder inside second. So now what this should create, a test folder, and then inside the test folder it should create a folder inside first, and inside that one it should create a folder inside second. So let's click enter, and let's see if this actually happened. So let's do ls first. So we do have this test folder here. Let's get into that test folder. I'm inside, so there's our second folder, folder inside first. Let's get into that one, folder inside first. And there's our folder inside second. So that's how we create multiple directories. Now let's create a file here. Let's use touch. By the way, you don't have to use touch if you want to create a text directory. You could directly use Nano, and you can say something like nano test.txt, and this is the first line. You can immediately start typing in here and create a file. And in order to save, another shortcut is if you directly go Control X, and it's going to ask you, do you want to save the current modified buffer? And you can click yes, and it's going to say the file name to write. You can click yes here, and you can actually write out to that file. So click enter, and that's going to be saved. If I cat this file, I'm going to be able to see that actually I do have the first line in here, very conveniently. Now we have a file here. So now let's go back. Yeah, let's go back, and let's go back again. And what I'm going to try to do right now is I'm going to try to remove a directory. I'm going to try to remove this folder 2 directory. If I get into the folder 2 directory, okay, not like that, but folder 2, I can see it's empty. So let's go back and let's try to remove it. rm folder 2. First of all, it's not going to allow us to remove it because it's actually a directory, and in order to remove this directory, we have to say like this. Actually, not like that. We have to say R for recursive removal. And what this is going to do, this is going to recursively remove this directory, because the directory might have some other folders inside, and that's the exact scenario that we created currently. So in this test folder, if I get inside there, we have another folder. If I get inside that folder, I have a text file here. So we have some files inside. So if I try to delete the test folder, if I try to remove this test folder, it actually removed it. And if we use the recursive removal of the directory, so it actually removed the directory. That's how you remove a folder. So you have to use the R for recursive removal. So that's going to be this. These are kind of the basic Linux navigation through the file system, creating folders, creating files, opening those files. Another shortcut that I want to show you is, let's say you're in some directory somewhere. Let's say I'm in folder 1, and let's say I want to quickly get to my home directory. I don't have to do cd dot dot cd dot dot if I'm somewhere far away or in the file system. I can just say cd and click enter, and that's gonna bring me right back to my home directory. So these are gonna be kind of like the basic commands, but I'm gonna show you a couple of more right now. So the next command that I'm gonna show you is gonna be cp or copy. So I'm gonna create a file here. I'm gonna touch a text file, test.txt, let's say. I'm gonna do ls, there's our file, and I'm gonna try to copy this file into folder 1. In order to do that, we have to use the cp command. So I'm gonna use the cp command, and now we have to specify the source that we want to copy and the destination. The source is the second argument, and the destination is the third. The source is the first argument, and the destination is the second argument. So the destination is going to be this folder 1 here, and I'm going to click enter. If I do ls again here, our test.txt is still here, but if I open the folder 1 and if I do ls here, I'm going to see that I have the same file right here copied. And that's exactly what we wanted to happen. So now let's go back. And let's try something else. Let's make another directory here, folder 2 again. Let's make folder 2. And let's try to copy folder 1 into folder 2. So let's try first like this. Let's try like this. Folder 1, folder 2. Let's see what's going to happen. This is not going to let us do this. It's going to say -r not specified, omitting directory folder 1. That's because the folder 1 might contain some other files, and in order to copy a directory, we have to use the -r or recursively copy every file inside. So let's specify the r parameter right now, and let's click enter, and that's actually gonna work. And as you can see, the folder 1 is actually copied into folder 2. If I do ls and if I get into folder 2, as you can see, the folder 1 is actually right there, copied into folder 2. If I get into folder 1 here, if I do ls, there's our text file also copied. So let's go back, and let's go back. So that's how we copy directories. Now, instead of copy, we could use the move command or the mv command that moves the directory completely. So I'm first of all gonna be removing this folder 2 directory, because we're not going to really need it, and we're just going to be working with this folder 1 directory. So let's try to move this text.txt file. Let me just get into folder 1 first. Let me delete the test.txt file from here. Let's go back. So now folder 1 is empty. Now I didn't show you another thing, and another thing is that you can actually list out folder 1 while you don't have to be inside folder 1 in order to list it out. You can actually list out the folder 1 from anywhere as long as you know the path to that folder. For example, I can say ls and I can say folder 1, and this will actually list out the folder 1. And as you can see, it's actually empty. So let's try to move this test.txt file into the folder 1. We can do that by using the move command, and I'm going to say again a source. The first argument is going to be a source, and the second argument is going to be a destination. I'm going to move it into folder 1. And now if I do ls here, as you can see, I don't really have the test.txt here. And where's the text.txt? Well, the test.txt is actually in folder 1. It's been moved. So let's get inside folder 1. And let's do ls. And if I do ls here, you can see that the test.txt is actually right here. So we moved it permanently there. We didn't copy it. And those are going to be kind of the basic Linux commands that you use to navigate through the file system. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you learned something new, and thanks for watching, and see you until the next one.